stopped somewhere. The Salla Sutta. Can you remember which number? 6. Good. Salla Sutta. Number 6, huh? Tesang macchu paretanang gacchataṃ paralokato napita tayate puttaṃ ñāti vā paññātake tesaṃ maccu paretānaṃ gacchataṃ paralokato napita tayate puttaṃ ñāti vā paññātake. So when you recite like this, you get used to this Pali language also, because certain words are very common, because we use these words. The meaning: no father can save his son. No relative can save his relatives when they are going to depart from this world. This one is very simple. No father can save his son. That means, if the son is really going to die, father cannot do anything. Mother also cannot do anything. Relatives or friends also cannot do anything. Because the death takes place according to his or her own karmic energy. How the death takes place? I think you have heard earlier. When 3 things are completely departed, separated from our life or from our body, then the death takes place. Nobody in this world who can stop it, either God or Buddha or anyone, because that person's own karmic energy is responsible for the life process. Ayu, Usmacha, Vijnana are these 3 things. Ayu, Usma, Vijnana. Can you understand the meaning? What is Ayu? Lifespan. So when birth takes place, one particular karma, karmic energy that we have accumulated take the responsibility to condition or to produce that life. After that, lifespan, how long can this person live, depend on this particular karma. How strong this karma is, how powerful it is, or whether it is weak or strong. That is why some people die when they are very young. That productive karma is not strong enough to carry on. Extinguished, exhausted. So others cannot stop this one. That is what many people cannot understand. Whatever we do in this world, it is impossible to stop. First thing is our own karma. Second one is, of course, it is very simple, heat energy. Among those four elements, heat energy is responsible to maintain life energy. The other elements are not so important. If there is no more heat energy or temperature in the body, life energy cannot exist. Then last one is more important, that is called vijnana. What is vijnana? Consciousness. What is consciousness here? What is consciousness? Usually in the English language, when we use the word consciousness, we get very, very narrow, very limited meaning, consciousness. But from the Buddhist point of view, for the word vijnana, although we use the word consciousness, that gives entirely different meaning. So what is the real meaning of consciousness? Yes, say something, because every Friday you come and listen and listen and listen and listen. Say something.
Intellect.
Pardon?
Mind.
No, mind alone cannot be used as consciousness. We have forgotten how I explained. Yes, how many energies are there in that consciousness? Simply you say mental energy. But how many kind of energies are there in this consciousness? Yes? Can you mention some of them? Now can you remember how we analyze our mind? More than 1,000 times I have explained. How we analyze the mind? Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Four mental faculties. Four kinds of mental energy work individually. What is Vedana? Our feeling. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Three kinds of feeling we experience. And this experience we gain through one particular mental faculty. Then the second one is Sanya. What is Sanya? Perception. What is perception? We perceive certain thing. What does it mean? So it seems what I am talking never penetrate into your mind, Just listen and go, enter from here and goes out from this side. Pardon? Yes, recognition, identification, another mental faculty. We recognize this is good, this is bad, this is useful, this is useless, this is man, this is woman, this kind of recognition, another mental faculty. That is called Sanya. Next one, Sankhara. What is Sankhara? I have given two meanings for this word, Sankhara. Can you remember? Yes? Wholesome and unwholesome volitional activities in what you call textual interpretation, but we can make it simple. What is sankhara? Now we use the word anicca vatta sankhara. When do we recite this? During the funeral. When we perform funeral rites, always we recite this. Anicca vatta sankhara. There is another saying, sabbe sankhara anicca. For meditation, sabbe sankhara anicca. Meaning, what does it mean? But the word sankhara gives different meaning there. Not volitional or mental activity. What is the meaning of sankhara here? Component, compounded. Component things. Component thing means all these things that exist in this universe are component things. That means any individual energy or element cannot exist. They must combine together, then take different shape. All these things are known as sankhara. Now humans, animals, birds, plants, earth, stones, all these are sankhara. They are visible object, tangible, because of the combinations of elements and energies. Then take different shape. Even devas and brahmas and spirit and ghosts and humans, animals, all are components. Combinations of elements and energies, cosmic energies, mental energies. This is the meaning of sankhara. Again, the Buddha gives the definitions of this word, sankhara. What is this? Uppado paññāyati, vayo paññāyati, titasya aññatatthaṃ paññāyati. This is the characteristic, or this is the nature of all these component things that exist. What is the meaning? Uppado paññāyati. We can see things come into existence, appear, birth. If they are living beings, we say birth. Plant come into existence. We can see. And now this table also come into existence. Although human beings are behind, the table come into existence due to combinations of so many things. There are elements, there are energies in this table. Here in this mic, there are so many things, elements and energies. So we can see things appear, things come into existence. Right. After that, citasya aññatatthaṃ paññāyati. After some time we can see the things that appear is going on changing. You can see, isn't it? A small baby grow, changing. A small plant grow, changing. And this table decaying, changing. we are growing and growing and growing and decaying and decaying and decaying. This is the nature of sankhara. So whatever method we adopt to stop these changes, they never work. For a short period we can stop. Few days, few months, few years, by using all sort of methods. But no one can change this natural phenomena. This is the nature of sankhara. Now two things are there. We can see things appear, yes. Again we can see all these things are changing for a certain period. For that we say growing, developing, improving. After middle age, turn the other way around, then we say decaying, also changing. So no one can stop it. This is the second characteristic of the nature of sankhara. After decaying and decaying, Vayopanyayas disappears. The thing that existed, the things that decayed, disappear. So what is the word that we use for that? Death. Death is natural. These are the three characteristics. No one is free from this. No element is free from this. So when all these things combine together, join together, remain for certain period, few years, then the energies started to lose. When energies started to lose, then the elements also started to disintegrate, like this, slowly. This is decaying. One day, no more, completely disappear. This is the nature. Whether they are human beings or animals or devas or brahmas or any other kind of supernatural living beings in any part of the universe, not only in this world. All these are sankhara in the Buddha's language. Then, why do we worry? Why we are not happy about this? Why we don't like this? Because we develop our craving and attachment for these component things. Because of this craving and attachment, we don't like to see decaying. Our craving is not happy about that. When people are going to die, they are not happy because of their craving for existence. But if we learn this earlier and analyze, this is natural, this is a universal phenomena. Every living being, so that anything that exists must face these three characteristics. Then we can reduce unnecessary worries and fear and disturbances. The more we reduce craving, the more we can maintain some sort of satisfaction. Then what will happen? The things appeared, started to decay, after decaying, disappeared. Then what happened? The element and cosmic energies again absorb into the same element and same cosmic energies. Never disappear. Although disappear only that object, but the elements and energies never disappear. When they join together, now this is glass. This is also combinations of elements and energies. So when this break into pieces, glass disappears. No more glass. But all the elements, all the energies, if we turn into powder or dissolve everything, absorb into the same element, same energies. As human beings or living beings, there is some extraordinary energies. And that energy you cannot find here. Here only element, also energies, or cosmic energies. But no mental energy here. So when we disappear, all our elements again absorb into the same element. All the cosmic energies absorb into the same energy. Mental energy proceed. Here there is nothing to proceed. When the plant life die and disappear, there is nothing to proceed, no mental energy there. So, in that mental energy, that is what I am trying to explain just now, the real meaning of consciousness from the Buddhist point of view, not mental energy. So when we die, in that mental energy, so now I explain our feeling, I explain our recognition, I explain sankhara, then I turn towards something else. Explain another meaning of sankhara, mean the things, component thing that exist. But here when we come to vijnana or consciousness, sankhara gives another meaning. What is that? Wholesome or unwholesome, or in simple language, good and bad karma that we have committed or accumulated. Our mental habits, we have our own habits, our own character, our mentality, we have different mentality. According to our habits, our nature, our knowledge, our understanding, we develop this character and habits. Then our knowledge, what we have developed, and purity and impurity of the mind. Every day we create purity as well as impurity in our mind. When we reduce our anger, jealousy, greed and grudge and all sort of things, then maintain some sort of purity in the mind. Again, when we increase our anger and jealousy and grudge and all sort of evil thought, impurity. Every day, purity and impurity, working like this. This is also become sankhara. To continue all our good qualities, virtues, religious way of life, knowledge and wisdom, our noble way of life, we must have some sort of mental habits. they are also called sankhara. I have explained this 2-3 times. Again I repeat today, because it seems, although you understand when I am talking, later you forget. So during our lifetime, we create good karmas. By doing good deeds, we create good karmas. These good karmas divide into 2 groups. One group is called punya, the other group is called kusala. Punya means the good deeds that we have done with good intention to do some service to others. But by expecting something in return for our benefit, either to be rich, to have a long life, to go to heaven, to enjoy our life, then this is punya. Example, you give dana. By offering this dana, you aspire or you create some sort of will or you wish to be born in a very rich family to enjoy your life. If not, to go to heaven to enjoy your life. Yes, there is no difficulty. You can gain. No difficulty. But that is punya. After gaining this, after enjoying your life, either as human beings or in Devaloka as devas, and no more, you become bankrupt. Because you have spent everything by enjoying. This is the nature of punya. Then again you have to accumulate some good punya, good karma for the next life. Otherwise you do not know what will happen to you in the next life. This is the problem, that is the uncertainty. If we neglect one particular life to create some good karmas as punya, then we get into trouble. That means again and again and again and life after life, we had to collect more and more good karma to carry on, to enjoy our life. This is the nature of punya, the meritorious deeds that we perform to enjoy worldly life. Now let us come to the other side, kusala. Kusala, the meaning of the word, a skillful, literary meaning, kusala, skillful. Skillful means the good deeds that we have done wisely, for good purpose. That is skillful. Not only for our worldly pleasure, not only for our enjoyment, but to gain more knowledge, more wisdom, more purity, to carry on our noble way of life. Then it will become kusala, but not punya. Then what is the difference? When you gain more knowledge and wisdom and understanding, you can continue this life after life, develop further and further and further. Understand? Now you do lot of kusala karma. Because of these kusala karma, you will be born in certain places, certain areas where you can gain more knowledge, more understanding and peaceful life to lead the religious way of life or noble life, not only for enjoyment. Then you continue. Again you develop further and further in the next life. So you can continue this until you attain nirvana, your final goal. That is what the Buddha did for gaining his enlightenment. Not for worldly pleasures, to enjoy his life or anything else. So can you remember this? So next Friday I'll ask this. What is the difference between punya and what is the difference between kusala? So, this sankhara, let us come back. Accumulated mental habit as kusala karma, meritorious deeds, pave the way for us to lead very respectable, very noble, very peaceful life. Because that has become our mental habits. On the other hand, those who have abused, misused their way of life by harboring, creating more and more greed and jealousy and anger and hatred and cruelty, they are also under this sankhara. So in the next life, it is difficult for them to get into a religious way of life or noble way of life. If they had some good karma, some other good karmas, they become human beings. Although they are human beings, they are very cruel, they are very, very, what you call, criminal-minded by nature. Difficult for them to change, because that is their mental habit, both sides. There are 52 names given, good and bad, as sankharas, that we maintain, we nurture, we develop in our mind. Good and bad, 52. See, this word vijnana, consciousness, in religious language is a very, very rich word. So all these sankharas are there in that consciousness. Then some more. Every day we are using our 5 senses. Through these senses, we catch external objects, beautiful things and ugly things, very sweet music or sound or very bad, irritable, and all the 5 senses. These senses carry these objects to the mind. Then the mind absorbs and rejects. This has become a real nuisance to our mind. Every second, either through this or this or this or this, these 5, bring certain objects, then the mind has to decide whether to accept this or to reject. So mind has no other work. And those who meditate, concentrate by taking one pointedness, that means the mind is working only toward that particular object, and five senses have no chance to bring object. Close all the senses. At that time, that poor mind gets the chance to relax. No disturbances, no temptation, no anger, no jealousy, no greed at that time. Relax and relax and relax and relax. So when you allow that mind to relax, the wasted mental energy through these senses, again you can recharge, rejuvenate. That is how they strengthen their mental energy. So, it's very meaningful, very practical. Then, beside these five senses, there is another one. What is that? Altogether 6 senses, not only 5. What is that? Mind itself creates mental image, imagination. These imaginations we create according to our anxieties, craving, attachment, if not our habit. Even during previous birth, habit again disturb the mind. The image or the picture that we have created by the mind disturb the same mind. So we have to stop that imagination also. Now in that mental energy, all these 6 senses produce objects. Feeling influence that mind. Recognitions influence that mind. Our mental habit, karmic energy, influence that mind. See how many energies are there. Simply we say mental energy. Some more. The meaning of consciousness. Avidya, tanha, karma, upadana, bhava. 5 more. See? Our ignorance. The ignorance that we maintain in our mind is a mental energy. Ignorance nurture, protect, develop so many unnecessary, useless things. Because ignorance does not allow our mind to see things properly. Because of that, we nurture and develop all the other ingredients in the mind. Then tanha, trishna, craving, desire, anxieties. We have craving for existence, craving for pleasure, craving for long life, craving for so many things. This is another mental energy which is very strong in our mind. Every creature, every living being, whether big or small, maintain craving for existence, craving for pleasure. It is another mental energy. Then, upada. Because of this craving, we develop our attachment towards certain things. That attachment is like glue, very hard to separate it. We fix our mind toward that particular object that we like, that we want, attachment. Wholesome and unwholesome, or good and bad. Karma that we have committed or accumulated during our lifetime. All are there in our subconscious mind. Never disappear. They remain in our subconscious mind. Another thing. No one can live in this world without creating either good karma or bad karma. Only the Buddhas and Arhatas, because they have no craving. As long as craving prevails, remains in the mind, no one can escape from creating karma. So, whether we are good or bad by nature, every day we create either good karma or bad karma. There is nobody in this world who can create only bad karma. Even wicked and cruel, dangerous people also do good deeds. They also create good karma. Very religious-minded, very pious, very devout people also do bad things. Therefore they also do bad karmas. And this is the nature of worldly life. There are certain things we know they are wrong, but we have no other choice. For our living, for our existence, we have to do certain bad things. Take for instance, your cupboard is attacked by white ant. What are you going to do? Keep quiet? Because you are Buddhist. You cannot tolerate ants and crocodiles, lizards, rats. You cannot tolerate because they are harmful. You cannot tolerate poisonous snake. Whether you are Buddhist or otherwise, you forget Buddhism at that time. That is the nature in our worldly life. So we cannot live in this world without committing certain bad things. Impossible. Of course, those who have renounced their worldly life can reduce because they have no attachment toward even their house or property or anything. Even then it is very difficult to escape. Slowly go back to worldly life again. I remember a very meaningful story. Those who suddenly realized or not realize, decide to renounce their worldly life at once, what will happen to them? A family man, married man, after thinking and thinking and thinking, suddenly decided to renounce everything. Even his clothing also. No attachment toward his clothing, only a small piece of cloth to cover his nakedness. He went to the jungle, sitting under a tree and meditating. So what happened to him? When he was meditating, a rat came and started to cut that piece of cloth that he was wearing. Now he doesn't know what to do. Chase away, because since he is keeping quiet, the rat again come back. Then he was thinking, all right. He had a cat at home. He went home and brought this cat. And now the rat doesn't come. But the cat hasn't got anything to eat there. The whole day and night this cat make noise. He cannot meditate. Now he thinks what to do. He had a cow at home, milking one. He brought the cow and the young one and take milk and feed the cat, and he also took a little bit. So when he tied this cow, the whole day this cow make noise because they have to carry this cow where there are some grasses for this cow to eat and nobody to attend. Then he went home and brought his wife to look after the cow. Remember this story. I am giving this warning for those who suddenly decide to renounce the worldly life. So, we had to do everything with understanding, gradually, not at once, according to our experience and understanding. Then had to develop one after the other, slowly, step by step. In other words, don't try to be too religious. Real nuisance, to others. To your family members, your friends and relatives. Lead a respectable, noble life, not necessary to go to extremes to be religious. So, still I have not completed consciousness. It seems the way how I talk, I am unconscious. Avidya, Trishna, Karma, Upadana, attachment. So attachment we maintain. And this attachment becomes the object for us to grasp into our mind when we are going to die. Remember this. Then, karma formation, karma bhava, before our death. There are 3 stages. The indication, the signal or the sign appear in the mind before our death. One of these karmas, either good karma or bad karma, appear as the last thought before our death. After that, no more thoughts. There are so many good and bad karmas behind, but no more thoughts appear in the mind because the mind is weak. Then the mental energy hold on to that particular karma. We do not know whether it is good one or bad one. We cannot create that particular karma in our mind purposely. Impossible. It is like this. When you go to bed, you think, tonight I like to have this dream. Do you get it? You never get it. You cannot create dreams purposely. It depends on subconscious mind. In the same way, when we are going to die, we do not know which karma that we have committed, either good karma or bad karma or a strong karma or weak karma. An example is given. In a cow shed there are so many, say 50 to 100 cows, big one, small one. Very weak one, very strong one. But early morning, when that person who come and open the gate or the door, the cow which was nearer to that door goes out first. Maybe a very weak one. There are so many strong ones behind, but they cannot go out because of this. So the karma that appears in our mind at the dying moment is exactly like this. Then there is an advice given by the Buddha for that, to avoid this. Whatever we develop as our habit, that is called habitual karma. Maybe a very small one, very minor thing, that every day you perform this as your habit, then chances are there. 75% chances are there for you to get that particular karma at the last moment because it has become your habit. Although there are so many other bad karmas or good karmas behind. Example, every morning or every evening you make a habit to get some little bit of flowers or joss sticks or light, offer to the Buddha and pay respect. Then this becomes your habit. Because every day you are creating this thought, creating. But many other karmas, not even once a year, you think about this particular. But this one, every day, naturally, you go. No need to think purposely that you want to go and do it. When it becomes habit, naturally you go there. Then chances are there to get some good karma at the dying moment, then the bad karmas have no chance to influence the mind. So, the second stage of this dying moment is the nature of karma that appear in the mind, whether it is good one or bad one. If it is a bad karma, then the mind experience darkness, jungles, serpents, fierce animals, fire, unpleasant signal, signs. That means the karma is not a good one. If karma is a good one, then you can see flower gardens, waterfalls, and you see angels, and very pleasant, very soothing appearance. That means the karma is a good one. That is the second stage. After that, we get the last one. That is called Gati Nimitta. Indication about our destiny. According to this karma, where we go. whether become humans or animals or devils or devas or brahmas or fortunate or unfortunate person, before our death, already that particular karma is already molded it. We experience that. Then when this consciousness is transmitted just like a flashlight from here, in that consciousness you can remember how many energies are there now. I mentioned all these energies there. How many ingredients are there in that consciousness? Then when it is transmitted, it is not soul, it is not self, it is consciousness. Those who cannot understand this consciousness use the word soul and self and all the other words. Then what will happen? That departed consciousness again mix up with cosmic energies and elements. Then create another component thing, combined with energies and elements. Then become either human beings or animals or devas or brahma or spirit or this one. That is how we continue this, one after the other, life after. So, those who cannot understand these things create their own imaginations. This is the way how the Buddha has explained this. Now you realize the meaning of consciousness from the Buddhist point of view. It's a very rich. The definitions of the mind you can find in the Buddha's teaching. First the stanza. Yes, number 6 in it. So I try to explain. So when we are going to die, our father or mother or relatives or friends or God or Buddha, also no one can stop it. If the karma is extinguished, no more. Then I explain how death takes place. When those three things completely separated, departed from our life or from our body, then the death takes place. What are those three things? Our karmic energy is created, conditioned, molded this life, is no more. Then heat energies which sustain all the elements and energies. Then the consciousness, just now I mentioned. As long as consciousness separates from the body, death never takes place. The body may turn into pieces, but still death never takes place. Because it is an energy. No one can destroy life. We can destroy body. Life is an energy. Energy remains with that consciousness. When these three things are separated, then death takes place. Yes. Fear comes because of craving. If there is no craving, now it is mentioned in Anguttara Nikaya, there are only two persons in this world who are not scared of lightning, thunder and lightning. All of you get like this when thunder because of fear. The Buddhas and Arahantas. Never, because they have no craving for existence. Pardon? No, they never go anywhere. They stop their journey. They don't want to go anymore. They had more than enough. It is not that. That is one of the reasons. Now some people are scared of death because they do not know what will happen to them after their death. That is another reason. But the main reason is craving, attachment, pleasure, and how to separate, how to go away, how to give up, how to enjoy if I die. These are all are based on craving. When craving is no more, we will be free from this problem. Next one, number 7. Vikkhatang eva jnatinang passalala patang puthu ekameko majjanam govajjo viyaniyati. Vikkhatang eva jnatinang passalala patang puthu ekameko maccanam govajjo viyaniyati. While relatives stand watching and lamenting, see how beings are led to death, like cattle to a slaughterhouse. These things are very easy to understand. Now when somebody is dying in our family, we are crying and worrying and lamenting and watching. There is nothing that we can do. Just like people who carry cattle into a slaughterhouse for slaughtering. Others never come forward to stop it. So the death take away the life, just like they carry the cattle to the slaughterhouse. So death take away the life, not the body. Death cannot take away the body, only life. Just now I told you, life is not visible. It is energy related to the consciousness. When there is an oil lamp, there are two things, oil and wick. Because of this oil and wicks, we can see flame. So the wicks is just like physical body. Oil is just like karmic energy. So when this karmic energy supports our physical bodies, life exists, just like flame. When there are no more oils and wicks, the flame also disappears. So life is just like a flame. Remain as long as karmic energy remains active and the physical body is active. When the physical body is inactive, not functioning properly, karmic energy is fading away, then the life, just like that flame, disappears. It's natural. That is what is saying. These the sayings of the Buddha. While relatives stand watching and lamenting, see how beings are led to death, like cattle to slaughterhouse. Easy. Next one, number 8. Eva mabbhahato loko Macchunaca jarayaca Tasmadhirana sochanti Viditva aloka pariyayam Eva mabbhahato loko Macchunaca jarayaca Tasmadhirana sochanti Viditva loka pariyayam. Since beings are thus assailed by death and old age, the wise, knowing the nature of this world, do not grieve. The dead threaten, frighten, disturb our life. We are scared of death. Scared because of our craving and lack of understanding. If we can understand how death takes place and what will happen to us after our death, we know how to face, we know how to prepare. And then the fear and worry reduce, disappear. In fact, some people are waiting. They prepare everything because they know very well, they have confidence. Their life never become unfortunate one, miserable one, because they have prepared. They have trained their mind. They have purified their mind. They have done lot of meritorious deeds. Then the life never become miserable one. Then they can continue life after life. So they have that confidence. That is the way how to prepare for our death. One day we have to face when it comes without worrying. Earlier we had to prepare. We can reduce a lot of disturbances and worries. That is why here, since beings are thus assailed by death and old age, death and old age both, that we don't like. Why we don't like? We are not ready to face facts. We have not trained our mind to face fact. We want things that are impermanent to remain as permanent. That is the silly idea that we made. We know very well things are impermanent, won't last long, but we want them to remain. That is a silly idea. That silly idea is created by our ignorance. So when we learn, when we gain this knowledge, then we can reduce this ignorance. If things come into existence, as I mentioned just now, it must decay and change. Otherwise no existence. Because existence takes place due to combinations of many things. This combination never remain without changing. So there is no difficulty to understand this. Number 9. Yassa maggang na janasi agatassa gatassa va ubho ante asampassang nirathang paridevasi yassa maggang na janasi agatassa gatassa va ubho ante asampassang nirathang paridevasi. It is in vain that you lament over the dead, since you do not know whence they came nor whither they go. This is another aspect. Because of our ignorance, we cannot understand where we come from and where we go. Ordinary people cannot understand. They create their own imagination, that's all. But those who have developed their mind and gained knowledge and understanding, they can understand. We have come to this world from another existence, either from human world or animal world, animal kingdom, or Devaloka, Brahmaloka. Again, after our death, if we use this human life without abusing, then we know where we go. If we misuse and disturb others, then very uncertain. Nobody knows what will happen to us. Maybe due to certain other previous karma, good karmas, we may get the chance to be born as human beings, although we have done certain bad karmas. This is the uncertainty, because the karma always change, either this way or that way. The karma that we have accumulated within this lifetime sometimes won't get the chance to effect. Previous karma, which we have done as strong karmas, may come forward before our death. Let the rebirth take place according to that particular karma. This you can understand in this way. A small baby, immediately after this baby's birth, he died. And this baby has never done any good karma or bad karma to have rebirth. From the Buddhist point of view, it's very easy to explain. Although this baby has never done any good karma or bad karma, there are so many good and bad karmas that have committed during the previous birth still remain. One of these karmas again support to have another rebirth, either good one or bad one. This is the nature of karma. So here, our worries, our disappointment, our unhappiness about this day is due to our lack of understanding. So when we learn in this way, then we can reduce and reduce and reduce. Just after that, ignore. The fear also disappears slowly. When we realize the nature of our life, then craving also reduces. 9:30, I think better to stop here. Cannot complete this because more than half. It's a very long sutra. So remember, number 9 completed, number 10 next Friday.